Paid leave ordered for federal contract workers, construction spending on a tear, and the highway funding push on a new roll. That and more on Construction News Tracker, presented by Caterpillar. President Obama took executive power on Labor Day as he signed a document that requires all federal contractors to pay sick leave. Under the presidential order, those working on federal contracts would be eligible for 1 hour's paid leave for every 30 hours worked, amounting to 1 week a year. There is no estimate on the cost of the action. It does not take effect until 2017. The seasonally adjusted rate for construction spending hit $1.08 trillion in July. That's the highest in 7 years. The numbers come from the U.S. Commerce Department, which points to strong interest in housing and commercial building and moves the overall level to a 13.7% growth over the past year. Meanwhile, on the labor side, construction added a meager 3,000 jobs in August, lower than economists had predicted. The total unemployment rate, though, dropped to 5.1%, and the industry continues to suffer hiring woes in finding experienced, qualified workers. With about 6 weeks remaining to the deadline for the latest extension of the highway funding bill, lawmakers are again being pressured to find a solution to the seemingly never-ending saga. Construction as a whole wants a long-term measure to curb the fits and starts of stopgap actions, of which there have been 34. ARTBA, the American Road and Transportation Builders Association, in a new study claims transportation generates $510 billion in U.S. economic activity and in turn accounts for 1.6% of the total gross domestic product. ARTBA is just one of many industry-oriented groups that has produced materials hoping to apply pressure on Congress.
It's time to get beyond gridlock. Let's stop the 7-year cycle of using budget gimmicks and adding billions of dollars to our kids' debt to fund today's highway and transit program. A 15-cent increase in the federal highway user fee would permanently fill the $16 billion annual hole in the Highway Trust Fund. It would pay for a 6-year highway and transit bill that grows core transportation investments with inflation. It would finally make possible targeted investments in our national freight network and essential public transit systems to eliminate the traffic bottlenecks that are hurting our economy and competitiveness. And it would only cost the average driver 24 cents a day. Low-income families could be given a rebate. Senator, Congressman, 2 years ago you made solid reforms in the highway and transit program. That job is done. Now it's time to tell your constituents the truth about the transportation investment problem. Ask for their help, and then do your job. Increase the highway user fee.
Recall our special On the Road report last spring when we visited Arkansas after that state pulled its contract bid letting. State AGC Director Richard Hedgecock says Arkansas DOT will set out bids next month for 27 road and bridge projects in the state. In addition, they have asked the governor for $36 million to pay for 49 restructuring projects cut earlier, and may proceed with more in the following months as it appears states will be repaid by the U.S. DOT. The initial cut stemmed from the lack of federal DOT reimbursement dollars tied to the political fallout in Congress. Revisiting the Veterans Administration hospital building debacle, the latest news now from the Army Corps of Engineers. That agency has been finding solutions to massive overruns of construction spending. The report centers on the Denver Hospital project, and though there are others attributed to an integrated design and construction method unique to VA officials. The so-called IDC method sought early selection of a design contractor, but the VA hired its own long before Kiewit Turner came aboard as general contractor, then sued for breach and walked away last December. The report concludes the massive hospital project never should have been controlled from Washington and still needs $625 million in taxpayer money to complete the job, now 3 years overdue. There may be some skepticism on the part of Florida DOT workers in the next few months, as the first driverless vehicle to be used on a U.S. highway will not be a car, but a truck used on construction sites. It's the work of Royal Truck and Equipment of Pennsylvania. The firm has sold its first driverless truck to the Florida agency. It's fitted with special attenuators and designed as a rolling crash barrier. The focus is on work zone safety, and as you know, barrier trucks are also the target of wayward motorists. In closing, the light at the end of the tunnel is usually a no exit sign. This is Construction News Tracker, watching over the industry that makes the world a better place, presented by Caterpillar and produced by 4constructionpros.com. We're on social media as well, Twitter at #ConstructionNews and Facebook at /4constructionpros, as the streaming web never ends.